Welcome everyone to episode 0, the test episode of GateKeepers, the RoleGate RPG podcast, where we talk about the new RPG app, RoleGate, and anything related to it. Now let's go around for some introductions. I'm JustAnotherGM, and the other two people on the show today are...
I'm FastKoala.
I'm Azord.
Alright, so... Now, what is RoleGate? RoleGate is a recently created web application that allows you to play RPG games asynchronously. Similar to play-by-post forums, except it looks more like a chat room. It's still in development. On the Discord, you see plenty of little update notifications and real-time dev posts. One of the recent updates has been maps, which are simple, just small pixel-like grids, but they have proven very helpful in one of the games I've run. Does anyone else remember some of the recent updates?
We've recently improved some of the social settings, so we have direct links to games. We don't have to search for anything anymore. That's pretty useful.
One of the other newer ones is sharing of the character sheets so that it's easier to set up games that have got existing character sheets.
Yep, I spent an entire afternoon making a character sheet for Lamentations of the Flame Princess.
It can be painful.
Yes. I was doing it on my phone.
Ouch.
Now, was there mention about tagging?
No, not yet. That was one of the social updates to make things a little bit easier to find.
Yep, you
It
can
just
put...
came in. It's something you can tag both your games and your own profile with, so you can see how many games are available with that tag and how many people are looking for that tag actively.
Yep, some of them are very specific. Like I saw a single request for Tephra, which I know is a steampunk system. But some of them can also be genres or types of games or things in games.
Yeah, a lot of them deal with genre, the system you're using, or the language you're playing. Also, as well as the pace that you're playing at.
We have quite a few Polish members, apparently.
Yes, Notifactive is living in Poland, and word seems to have gotten around there. Maybe I shouldn't dox Div in the podcast.
I thought he lived in France.
No, he is French, though.
Ah.
Alright, so... Let's. This is something we'll do whether we have just us on the show or if we have guests on. We're going to go around talk about the games we are both running and playing in, as well as a bit of information about them. So, FastKoala, how about you start?
So I'm currently running one game and playing in another. I'm running a game called Hawkvolt, which is a sort of survival horror, but it's very light in those subjects. And it's 5th edition, and then I'm also playing in a game called City of Guilds. That's Pathfinder and run by a user named Savage Clay.
Watchworld is also the most read game on there.
Wait, what?
Yeah, Div posted a while ago in, I can't remember if it was Grand Hall or Council Room, that it's the most spectated.
I thought that was D&D 5e with all the quotation marks.
Well, I'm jealous. Azord, what are you running and playing?
So, I'm in quite a few things. I'm running something called Experiment. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's supposed to be O to the N, but on. I don't know. It looks better in text. It has no rules, because somebody thought that would be cool. So, if it's cool enough and everyone agrees, it flies. And that's been pretty fun, because people will completely rewrite the story, and I have to think on my feet. I'm also just started up a Fantagy game, which is another system made here near Texas, and a Pathfinder campaign called Soul Searcher. Let's see, and I'm in your Ironclaw campaign.
Which hasn't started yet.
Yep. I'm in City of the Guilds with FastKoala, and I'm in Aki's Forgotten Isles. Oh, and I'm in Something Wrong at Crossroads Academy.
I'm in that too.
Yep.
Damn, that math teacher's hot.
Apparently I'm not playing enough games.
I mean, we don't have... We can't even touch Savage. He's in like 11 games.
Ooh.
He was in my game before it went live.
Thank God I'm not the only one. I'm running 3 and playing in 3. So the one I've been running the most is Lamentations of the Flame Princess, with the setting book Frostbitten and Mutilated. We have had one combat encounter that has gone for 6 days and was only about 5 or 6 combat rounds, just because of how slow some posts have been. The other 2 I've made postings for, but have not had a chance to run because not enough people are in them, is Ironclaw Highwayman Hunt, which, because RoleGate can't quite do multiple dice pools, I'm temporarily using Microlight D20 until it becomes available. The other one, because I've been on a big Beast Wars kick lately, Transformers Beast Wars Age of Aquarius, which is just Beast Wars but all underwater. The ones I'm playing in are Something Wrong at Crossroads Academy, where I am basically the punk kid who is sent there to the boarding school because his parents wanted him there. Turns out I wasn't that original when I said he played violin, because another player also had that. I joined the GURPS Ultra Light system, a zombie game, partly because I've always wanted to play GURPS at least once, so I know what it's like. And Call of Cthulhu The Haunting. That one's been pretty inactive, so it might not even get off the ground. But anyway, do any of you guys have any fun stories or situations on RoleGate from these games or other ones?
I imagine Azord might have a few more than me. Most of the games I've been in or playing are fairly slow so far. So, I run 2 different Hawkvolt games. One I run with another group live on Roll20, and one I run on RoleGate. And the one I run live is 1 session in, and they're at the same place that the RoleGate game is, and they've been playing for 2 weeks. So, and they've been pretty active.
Let's see. I've been playing the Forgotten Isles with Aki, and I believe we've discovered a majority of the bugs currently on Trello through that game. So that's interesting. I am playing basically Jackie Chan in there, and I made it kind of obvious. His name was Jack. He had an uncle that did like voodoo magic. Had a artifact shop or whatever that is, and they thought I was Indiana Jones for the first couple posts until it became very, very obvious. So that's been great.
Well, for me, let's see where I've written that down. Okay. So, when it comes to Lamentations of the Flame Princess, most people know it as being a very grim, dark system, with death being very common. And generally, when I run my games in real life, I am much softer and easier as a GM. So, for this game, I was like, to hell with this. No one knows me here. I could fade into the darkness if anything goes wrong. I'm going to play it exactly by the book. And if people die, oh well, that's just how the dice rolled. So, what I started with 4 players quickly ballooned into 6. And I'm like, oh, they're going to steamroll whatever fight they get into. So the first fight is with 3 wild Amazons, 2 of them wielding great axes and 1 a longbow, out in a snowy field by a frozen river in a little island. Instead of the players steamrolling the Amazons, I had one player die from a one-shot, two more who went unconscious. One of the unconscious players quit 2 turns later. They just barely killed one Amazon. The wizard was running away from the fight towards a tree line. The remaining active players were a fighter and a specialist who were engaged in melee combat with one crazy axe-wielding Amazon, whiffing like no tomorrow, as the archer in the distance was shooting at people. The archer botches the roll shooting into melee and does a legitimate killing blow to the other Amazon with the axe. Because if you find her in combat and mess up, you can actually hit other people in it that are engaged with your target. So now that it was just the Amazon with the bow, she books it, and combat ends. But oh man, I have never had so many people go down in a level 1 party straight off the bat. Whew.
So, I've got to ask, did your player quit because they died or because of other reasons?
That, I don't know. They specifically just said, hey, this isn't for me. You can just kill off my character. And then they left. And I left it at that. Telling them, hey, there's a spot open for you if you ever change your mind. And you know what? It's not going to be for everyone. I understand that this can be a pretty crazy game, especially with its content.
Just in the games I've been in, I've seen a lot of players come and go on RoleGate, and I feel like it takes them a bit to learn play by post, it takes them a little bit to learn the system and the other people, and it also takes them a bit to get used to it, and there's a lot of times they realize, look, this system is not for me, this group isn't for me, this system of play isn't for me, and they tend to leave.
Yeah, it's why I don't take it personally.
But then you also have other users that are in a very large majority of games and are having a blast.
It's funny when you actually start to recognize usernames. But maybe that's just because I'm on the Discord so often. Even if I don't comment, I'm seeing all those same usernames.
Yeah. There is a couple people in my game who originally weren't on Discord and slowly migrated over after the game began. So it was interesting in that respect too. To have played with them in the game and suddenly they're on the Discord talking to everybody. Taco seems to have joined us.
There we go. There it is.
Whoa!
There's the button.
Ah! No mas! No mas!
Volume adjustment is imminent. There we go. Discord's strange on its volume adjustment. I had to knock him halfway down, and it's good now.
Better? Best.
Okay, Taco. Introduce yourself and talk about the games you are both running and playing in.
Alright. Anyway, Taco. Originally, my name is Talon, but that has been changed. You can call me Talon or Taco, it doesn't matter.
And I keep hitting the volume.
I feel like I'm stealing the name Taco, though. I don't feel like it's mine.
Sounds
Anyway.
like an energy crisis in the making.
Yeah. It's kind of my internet handle, but I use my real name often enough that it doesn't really matter.
I just can't do that. Anyway, what games are you running and playing in?
Oh man. Alright. My memming skills aren't the greatest, but I just want to. I should make something where all my games have updates. Anyway, just go down the list. I'm running 2 DCC RPG games. My first one started with Dungeon Crawler Classics Zeros to Heroes. That's kind of where I'm testing out the platform and learning, the ins and outs. And I've learned a lot about how to format, how to run 4 characters, and hopefully I can get that nailed in for my Peril on the Purple Planet campaign, which is serious, I guess. And I'm playing in your Frostbitten and Mutilated Lamentations of the Flame Princess pretty soon. And of course, almost every one of Aki's games.
And which games are those?
Plaven, The Forgotten Isles. I'm playing Archelius Cornifax, the Pompous Wizard, which I'm having a really good time in.
All right, and do you have any story moments or fun things to talk about from those past games?
Yeah, well, let me pull up some real quick. So anyway, we're kind of bonding out on the Forgotten Isle game, and Aki made an NPC deliver a letter to my wizard, and he said that the person had boils on his face. It was a kid or something like that. That said, I read the letter, said something I didn't really care to read. Then I just laid into this kid.
Wait, why?
Is this a chaotic evil game?
No, he's not evil. He's just he's pompous and self-serving. Say, okay, he says, after I fold up the letter and put it in my pocket, said, okay, right on, carry on, and get that looked at. Archie points at the boy's face. Idiot. I have half a mind to cast a spell just to ease our eyes, he mutters and walks away and moving off to the tower. I just love doing little things like that. I mean, I'm not a jerk, I don't think I am, but I like playing one.
Yeah, I have fun moments when I mentally attach a personality to a character and just roll with it.
Yeah, that's what I really like about Aki's games is the system is really, really loose, and I told him I wanted to be a wizard right off the bat. I said, all right, what are we doing for spells? I was like, well, just kind of roll with it. It's like, all right. So I was doing things like summoning ladders for Azord's Jackie Chan character. I summoned him an artifact from the Great Beyond, which turned out to be a fragile vase, because he's Jackie Chan. I think that's the character I'm having the most fun with.
Okay, let's move on to the next session called System Spotlight. We all go around and we all pimp one system we really like or we think can run really well on RoleGate. Azord, do you have a favorite system?
Well, you mentioned earlier that there was a Tephra tab. That was neat. But it's a steampunk system that focuses on crafting and more like Tony Starkish characters. Really cool. I would like to either run or play in one of those leagues one of these days.
There's also not that many systems that use a D12 as its primary resolution.
Yep.
Is that specifically because it's like a clock?
So they actually have a blurb in the book somewhere, I'm not entirely sure where, why they settled on the D12, and it is because it's a clock and you actually use that to track your initiative and stuff. You just have like a clock die basically. But they have a lot of other thought put into it, so I enjoyed reading that. I've forgotten it by now, but it was interesting to read at the time.
Yeah. Steampunk is one of those themes I've never actually played, but would like to if I ever got the chance. FastKoala, what about you?
I've not experimented a ton with other systems. Most of what I played has been Pathfinder and 5e D&D. But I am trying, I was talking about this earlier in the main room, I am attempting to build a system specifically to play on RoleGate that, in a sense, weaponizes the D4 and just uses it for everything. And I'm hoping that will work out and I can get a sort of West March style game going.
All right. What about you, Tacoforce? Any dream system?
Sure.
I guess I'll just talk about Dungeon Crawl Classics. I mean, I can't get enough of it. There are some difficulties with running 4 characters characters on this system, on this platform. But by just doing open character fields, they have a character generator website where you can create 4 characters at a click of a button and copy paste them. And I think that works pretty well, and I don't think I would change it, even if I did want to dig into actually making that happen on the characters tab.
Are you running?
Oh yeah, I'm running both games. I don't think it's like super popular. It's kind of big in OSR.
Are you using the character funnel?
Oh yeah, of course. Have to.
Could you explain what that is?
About the character funnel. You get these 4 nobodies, and they really turn into actual like characters. And it's like I said, it's magical. People don't know it until they tried it.
Mechanically, for those who don't know, every player starts with 4 level 0 characters. And they're going to die off in the first adventure, but the few you have remaining, for each player at the end, levels up, becomes level 1, and starts out in a class. Very fun.
Yeah, and the way I'm doing it experience per encounter, just so I just want to get people leveled up quicker, just to keep enthusiasm. Running an entire adventure would probably take like a month, if otherwise.
All right. So my current system I'll talk about is Lamentations of the Flame Princess. If you want a simpler version of Dungeons and Dragons, this one is based on OSR, which stands for Old School Renaissance or Revival or whatever. And a lot of the rules are based off old school D&D with a few modern touches. You'll get a much smaller rule book, much simpler rules, but a lot of the adventure books and campaigns can be very brutal, and in both theme, tone, and rules. It's very common to see things such as roll versus poison, and on a failure you die. Or have adventures like one of them called Fuck for Satan, which very dark themes, although that one's kind of more of a joke. But even if you don't play Lamentations of the Flame Princess, their setting books, such as Frostbitten and Mutilated, Red and Pleasant Land, Veins of the Earth, Vornheim, they all have a lot of things you can steal for your own game, even if you don't run D20 systems. There's a lot of...
And they're absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, very beautiful.
I actually started reading up on that simply because I saw so many people on here talking about it and running it, and it does seem like a very brutal but interesting system.
Oh, yes. And again, if the brutal aspect's not your thing, just don't run the pre-made adventures and then just be gentler as a GM. It's entirely possible. The knack to a lot of old school systems is that you can take what you want from it and house rule and modify as you please.
RoleGate is definitely a great place to be house ruling and modifying systems. So.
Alright, so the next section here is for non-RoleGate RPG discussion. Does anyone have any topics or stories or things they'd like to bring up for this part?
Well, I'm excited for when RoleGate has custom dice so I can run Star Wars RPG.
With the Genesis system, right?
Yeah.
Dude, I actually have the book and dice for that. That is so cool.
Yeah, I got that book.
But no one I know wants to actually play it in real life.
It's great, it really is. Even the generic system Genesis, you can use it for anything. The narrative dice system is really special. That said, it can fall flat if there's no player buy-in. That's the one thing I would say about that.
What do you mean by player buy-in?
Well, the way it works is you roll it, and you get these symbols that cancel out the failure, success, advantage, disadvantage, and triumph and despair. And if your players aren't really creative, or they're just to roll dice and hit numbers, if you get my meaning, they probably won't care for the system, because it really makes you think out of the box.
So it's a system you really have to be immersed in and creative with.
Yeah, and that's why it's great for Star Wars, because you can look at the dice and you can see a scene unfolding in your head, and just describe it.
Find systems like that, or there was a lot of talk earlier today about Fate. Both very interesting on how they get the players to try to drive the narrative.
Yeah, I haven't digged too much into Fate.
I've never played it, but I like the way the bell curve works on their dice.
It's very easy.
I don't like his bell curve on his dice, though.
Bell curves are important here.
I've rolled probably like six times already. It's been like a 1, 1, 20, then all under 10.
There was some game, I can't remember. Oh, it was Path of Guilds. Like every single player in that game rolled a 1, like right next to each other. It was great.
Have any of you had that moment where you roll for an NPC to make an attack and they crit, except because it's set to narrative mode, only the GM sees it?
Oh god, yes I did.
And you're just like, do I keep this? Or do I re-roll in a visible way?
Yeah.
I have yet to actually re-roll anything on RoleGate. I have so far just stuck with it.
Yeah. My rule is that the roll must be visible to the players for me to count it.
If I wasn't running Dungeon Crawl Classics, yeah, I'd do more rolls behind the screen, so to say. But yeah, it's all in front.
It's interesting. I know there's definitely two fields of opinion on that. Personally, I try to do as much rolling behind the scenes as possible, just to keep the narrative more obvious and flowing and less immersion breaking.
I like the roll. The roll if you can see it, you can see the roll.
That seems to be at least.
I mean, that definitely makes sense.
Yeah, like I've used it to I've used RoleGate to generate demons off of tables. That's how I got my corpulent, six-eyed bug demon.
Oh, there's a PDF you guys need to find. It's the guide to esoteric. No, it's the esoteric monster generator. And it has random tables to generate how many limbs, the shapes, the kind of abilities it has. That sounds right up your
I
alley.
think I've heard of that before. There's a couple different monster generators out there like that are very, very interesting and good if you can improvise upon them.
Man, we could probably do a whole episode just about random tables.
It's very true. Last thing I wanted to say was on the dice rolling. I think if you're playing a more atmospheric game, it's probably better to keep those more story-oriented, I should say, is to keep more of the dice rolls private. But if you're playing something like Lamentations of the Flame Princess, I can understand keeping as many rolls as possible out there so that the players see truly what's going on. Especially if the system's harsher.
Yes. I could see there being a great effect running some kind of horror game like Call of Cthulhu, but with all roles hidden. So it feels more narrative driven. Okay, so I think we can wrap up this episode 0. Is there any final comments anyone would like to make?
Oh, we just got started.
Yeah, right? I think it would be kind of cool to look at what's on the horizon for RoleGate, maybe in future episodes. So, what features Dibbs is working on, or what events we have coming up, because I believe the mod team did have ideas for community events. But maybe not for this ones, because they're already at
Yeah.
20 minutes.
Yeah, I was working. He was talking about doing a GM sort of thing. Class.
Yeah, sort of a GM class to help bring people in and get them up to speed on GMing and Teach them how to.
400 games is not enough.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I think we're players for it now.
Most of those games seem to be test games, and at this point I feel like there's also a lot of, like, you've got a lot of players who are in multiple games. So you've got a lot of new people coming in, struggling to find a game that's empty.
It's a lot of power players.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might be in too many games.
I might be starting another one. There aren't enough non-standard systems out there.
I need people to join my games. Guys, Ironclaw and Transformers. What's not to love?
I would join, but I am trying to build an RPG, and it's taking more time than I wish.
Yeah, I joined 33rd Bandit's Spire RPG. And it's a really interesting setting, but it's a really big PDF.
Those gigantic PDFs.
Yeah.
Oh, we could have a whole episode about that. Have you guys ever seen the world's largest dungeon?
I've heard of it, but I've never actually looked.
It is a read. It's a big mega dungeon, let's put it that way.
Got a couple in my back pocket.
Well, I think this is as good of a place to end as any.
Yes? Alright, everyone.
Official.
Thank you for being on the show. Thank you for anyone who actually is listening to this. I'd like to give a word shout out to our sponsors, Professionalism, since we don't have any. Also to fine audio quality, another thing we don't have. Maybe in the future that'll improve. And until next time, bid you all farewell.